Hello everyone and welcome back to another album review, and in this video I'm going to review Scatter the Rats by L7. This is the comeback album by all-female grunge, hard rock and punk band L7. This 4-member American band from Los Angeles had a great ride in the 90s with lots of great singles and albums, and this is their comeback album 20 years after the release of Slap Happy. An album that was not considered to be one of the best for the band, and me myself I wasn't really that impressed with this album. It was a really good album, but it had some electronic elements and some more quirky stuff that threw some people off. And it wasn't that much of a great finisher considering that you have albums like Bricks Are Heavy and Hungry for Stink. The band disbanded in 2000, but they reunited back in 2015. Since that time, they have released 3 archival live albums, and there was not a comeback studio full-length album up until this point. Me personally, I was kinda excited for this new release, even though of course I had my worries because lots of things could go really wrong with this album. One, it would probably be one of those comeback albums that wouldn't have the flair, the intensity and the energy of those other releases. 2, this whole grunge and alternative rock punk sound is kind of dated. This genre was huge in the 90s. After the 2000s and the 2010s, this whole genre just faded away. Fortunately, in my opinion, these things do not apply, and we have to do with a really good comeback album. And what makes this album another good piece in their catalogue is that this album sounds exactly like the previous works, and I see that as a good thing. The whole energy, the whole charisma, the catchiness, the quirky attitude of their previous works applies with this album as well, and it's like not a single day has passed. It's actually kinda shocking how their sound is as good as it was like 20 years ago, and some people might argue that it sounds so much like the 90s, as if that is a bad thing. I don't really get this kind of issue. I don't see why an album I liked, for example in the 2000s, why wouldn't I like it as time goes by? And so I wouldn't see why an album that sounds so much like the 90s would be actually a bad thing. Does it do something new in the genre or musically? Well, I wouldn't say so. But is it good for what it is? Absolutely. Even though I'm not the hugest fan of punk rock and grunge music, I do like the works from L7, and this album is not an exception. It's a true sound, the one that made them appealing in the first place. The songs are so catchy. This kooky and quirky attitude still exists in their songs. The guitar tones are heavy as fuck. There are so many memorable riffs on this thing, some really nice and catchy refrains, and what's also impressive is that it feels that Donita's vocals still sounds the same. It feels like she hasn't aged at all. And even if you say that her voice sounds a bit more raspy, I think it adds so well to the context of this album, this nasty approach, this nasty feel. It sounds so much like just dirty, grunge sound. Of course, just with the previous works, I don't think that this is a perfect album. There are still some moments that I don't really care for. Throughout this whole album, there are some moments like the songs Garbage Truck and Cool About Easy that didn't impress me as much. There are other moments that are just plain silly, like with their previous albums, especially on the lyrical content, which most of the time is just silly stuff. It's not something to take seriously. You can just tell from some of the titles like Ouija Board Lies. Are some people still afraid of Ouija boards? But this album still has some great catchy moments. The first track, which was also the single of the album, Burn Baby, amazing, short, straight to the point song, just reminds me from so many great moments from albums like Hungry for Stink and Bricks Are Heavy. There are some other great highlights as well, like Fighting the Crave, which is a bit of a change of direction. I love the heavy tone of the guitar, but I also love this a bit more slow-paced beat and this cowbell. Why does every single song sounds better with a cowbell? Other great moments like the very well written Stadium West, and I also like the silly up in the eyes. If it wasn't for a genre the sound that has kind of died this couple of years, I think this album would blow up back in the 90s. The girls still got it. after 20 years. And if that's going to be their last album, in my opinion, it makes for a better finisher than Slap Happy. At least this album doesn't try to go to something more unique and something more weird. This is a true sound of L7, and I truly appreciate that after all of these years, they decided to just not shift their sound whatsoever, keep with what made them appealing in the first place, and this is such a fun album. I enjoy listening to this a lot. While it's not an amazing and a groundbreaking album, it's still a good comeback. I'm going to give this album a 7 out of 10. What's your opinion on this album? Like it, dislike it, why, and what do you want me to review next time? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.